happened, you'll have to go back and find that elsewhere. You'll have to find out a lot of stuff. Folks, into Game 2, Fearless Draft. So a lot of the power picks not available. That means Rare Atom, they picked the Skarner the last game, going to ban it away from top esports kind of only in this game. And we wait to see, I guess, what AD mid lane is left open. Both the AD carries gone. Yone's likely going to be gone too, which it is there. You've got Jace left, and then you're looking for weird stuff.
And Cream said, okay, Jace, in fairness, but I suppose Vikla's also been a proponent of it, so I wonder, does it end up in a first pick option?
I don't know if it gets towards that point. Yeah, what do you do in terms of your composition now? Okay, it's going to be that Rumble that does get through. Very, very powerful to get that magic damage somewhere in your kit. But what are we doing around the mid lane now? So many picks gone.
Yeah, maybe it does have to default back towards some more traditional AP options because we are a little bit thin on the ground, but we'll wait and see. I might also, I'm slightly in a fugue state still. I might just not have my brain functioning enough to remember what mid laners are available right now.
Not gonna lie, I felt like most of game 1 was a fever dream. It's like 30 degrees in the room right now, getting up early and watching top esports do top esports things. I feel like it gets towards that kind of point where in one of those rituals where you ascend to a higher state of consciousness.
Yeah. I think I descended. I had this word stew around that Baron fight where I managed to confuse rock and rocket. And so I was just there going, I kept trying to say rock and just kept saying rocket for Skarner. I was like, what am I doing? Sometimes it happens, guys, even as a professional.
So in the next game, we're going to have the Shurima Souffle
instead
of the...
Your order is
Is that what happens if you have like the Azir and the Rumble on the same team? Well, that'd be a Shurima Flambe, I guess.
That's it. Well, what I'm saying is that when the Bear TV show and League of Legends finally collab, what it will be is our main character from the Bear going from being a Michelin star souffle chef to being a fried, fast food chef. That'll be about the order being served. It's all going to be reflected in the Azir.
Fantastic.
Immortalized bear journey.
We haven't seen a lot of Hway's. We saw so much of this matchup in spring, like Karma, Hway, Azir, Orianna. The mage meta is gone from LPL. It has still retained itself elsewhere in the world, but now seeing Vikla back on the Hway, don't think it's always been his best pick. I think Cream on the Azir has been a much better mage player in the past. I know some people are like, oh, it's Cream Azir, whatever. I think Cream has become a much better mage player than he has. And for the LPL standard, he has done a massive job at learning these mages and being a real force of nature on them. Top esports, they're looking like they're setting up for, very long range backline. They have a clear engage option in that Ashe. They'll be looking for one more engage option either from Tien or Mako. And that should really solidify a strong long-range backline engage composition.
Yeah, that makes some sense to me. They are going to want, as you said, just that extra little bit of CC somewhere. I suppose they might well be looking for a Nautilus here, because if they can ban away, say, the Rel's already been played right by Dway, but if you can potentially take away the Nautilus and ban the Alistair maybe, you'd be in a really good place here in terms of your ability to lock some CC down. Okay.
Okay, so... yeah, what do we do now for the engage options for the rest of this draft? There is one engage option on the board right now, and that is the Ashe arrow.
All the game on one arrow.
All the game on one arrow. Well, I suppose the Azir shuffle kind of counts towards that too. But yeah, I mean, you've got Rel, but you can't play that from Dway. You have Alistair. And it feels like those two are the last remaining ones. So what you could do as Mako is lock in Alistair. What does Dway do for engaged supports at that point?
Yeah, unless I suppose the Rumble gets flexed bot, but I don't know whether Dway is a big Rumble player.
That's true. That could help. That could genuinely help.
Or maybe Dway, I suppose, actually. If he's a barrel player, he's a barrel enjoyer.
True, I haven't seen that for all. And you're in Fearless Draft, you're getting towards the point where that's legitimately a good option. I love that, because it means that you have a point where, like, why does that work through? So Tien goes towards the Rek'Sai instead, which means that they're looking towards support counterpick. Does leave open the Alistair for Dway, which we'd imagine would be the easiest pick to lock in. Does mean support counterpick goes over to Mako, though.
Yeah, and of course there is a world with that Ashe gets flex support, so I mean it's obviously become more of an AD carry again of late, especially over in the LPL where people are really enjoying it.
So the Jhin is another pseudo-engage option. It's a pick champion from the AD carry role, which we don't see that many of. I suppose, maybe we discounted that a little much because you had the Varus and the Jhin, which can help in regards to that. But it's not teamfight engage. You can use this to tag someone at a point where, between the Hway and the Jhin, you get to a point where you can kind of put them on top of that equalizer and kill them. Again, this is not teamfight engage, but what this is pick CC. So RA might not be looking for the 5v5 if they lock in something like that. They need big engage. Okay, we did kind of pass over that Rakan as well. Thought maybe the Alistair was better in terms of the tank front line. The Rakan coming through obviously has fallen out of priority, but is still a strong engaged champion, which might just be able to reach the backline.
Yeah, of course, actually, he's still pretty good with the Warmogs build, actually. We saw, I don't remember who it was the other week who kept escaping on minor HP on the Rakan, and then built Warmogs, and then wasn't pickable at all on top of that. Might have been Mako, actually, thinking Matt, but it's been... I'll have to go back and see if I can find the game. I remember the play, just not the players. But they'll go towards the Varus. That does flex the Ashe towards the support. Now double pick R buttons there. In fact, we've got the 3 utility inverted commas AD carry ultimates there.
But while all this is happening, you know, Rare Atom, great long-range follow-up, but not the best engage options. It does feel like Rakan, it feels like Joy needs to do an awful lot. I think Joy's done okay this summer so far. With top esports, I feel like they have a much better tank front line, and I feel like this is a very lane-dominant lane for Jackie and Mako. That is a win condition in and of itself. Top esports, I think there's a lot of comfort for them here. They look very strong in the style in spring. RA, this is not the same, you have to win early kind of composition, but it's very hard to execute when it comes into mid-game. This kind of game, very important. Remember, folks, the reason why it is important for Rare Atom, if they win the series, they would finish top 2 in this group. LPL, as it stands right now, has been split up into 4 groups, and the top teams from those groups, which we'll see in the next few days, whether that and which teams they are, the top teams will go into a separate group to face off against each other for playoff seeds. If you're in the bottom 2 teams of any group, you get sent down into what's called the Nirvana group. I get to make so many grunge music references. And if you're in that group, you're fighting for survival. You play off against each other, and then you'll play against the losers of the other group in the next kind of final last chance scenario to get the last playoff spot. If you go into the bottom group, you go into absolute hell. It is so hard to qualify for playoffs beyond that point, so you want to finish top 2. That is why R8 need to win this to give themselves the easiest possible opportunity to reach playoffs.
A return to comfort for top esports here in Rare Atom. Another game, another very distinct draft with a very distinct thematic. The first game with all of that CC lockdown couldn't quite get over the line. This time around, it is artillery pieces galore. That ability to hit people from 2 screens away might be what they need to try and bring this one out. But the burden of execution is just that little bit high. If you wanted an idea about which team might be slightly more popular here, I think it might be Top Esports. They have got some very vocal fans out there. They really do come out to support the team. Rare Atom on the other side, of course, 3-2 in this group, have been another one of those teams that I think people somewhat counted out and have come in and actually had a pretty solid group stage. Again, they are cursed with a really tough final series, and they may well end up going 3-3 here, and that doesn't count them out from top 2, but the anxiety, the pressure has certainly got to be on them here, and I appreciate the fact that despite that, they have drafted a composition that makes sense, but it's going to require them to pilot it with a certain level of finesse.
So boldly they go into what could be their last game of the group stage. If they win, of course, they'll have one last final deciding game after that point, which could be everything that they need. Top Esports, they have been, to me, the best team in the LPL from the group stage so far. Now, we haven't seen them against other top teams. We will see them later on into the format, the next stage. All of the top teams will be playing against each other, and all the bottom teams will be playing against each other for their own various groups in the next stage. Top Esports, again, this is a victory lap for them. They've already qualified. They don't care about necessarily qualification hopes on that one, but they just want to show their best front foot forwards. Double Halo Blades, even with that rune being nerfed, still very powerful.
Suddenly, somewhere out there, T1's bot lane is raising their heads. Wait, we can still play double AD carry bot lane. There are just 1 or 2 teams in the LPL that still like to pull this out on occasion, especially in Fearless Draft, right?
You can see also Jackie and Mako, they put a ward very early into bottom river to make sure that Xiaohao wasn't going to do a level 2, level 3 bot quadrant clear into a bot side gank, and then they have the Hawk shot to give information over to where Xiaohao has gone. Tien will walk over a ward here, and he'll see that now, but Xiaoshu might just still be pushed up too far. I think with Xiaoshu having Ignite, they don't want to push 369 up, though. It likely would have been 1-for-1.
Wave 2 could have proven a bit difficult to manage, and Cream taken very low with a solid combo there from Vikla, but the return damage also pretty good, so ends up being just big chunks from both players.
You can see that Vikla's used all of his pots already. He has biscuits, Cream hasn't. 369 doesn't have level 3 right now, hits it, but this is still a level 3 Xin Sao. Xiaohao trying to impact the early game again.
Red buff and Ignite, and then level 4 now for Xiaoshu could get very scary. Xiaohao trying to buy some safe. The W gets on, but no one's taken turret aggro. And that means the W means nothing. A flash away and beautifully managed by Rare at it.
Oh, so sick from Xiaohao. Stacks up his Q on the tower to make sure he has the guaranteed knockup. Doesn't fall for the bait of 369. Pressing the W would have gone unstoppable and tanked up that damage. Then goes in for the guaranteed full burst level 3 combo from the Xin Sao and gets that first kill. I think Xiaohao's had 2 really good early games now. Gets something on the board, and that could just be, again, something of the start of what they need in this series. Getting Xiaoshu ahead in that top lane on the carry of the Rumble in a matchup which is very strong for that champion could be a win condition.
2 games, 2 plays toward top side. The first time around, it was just CC chain trying to put the Mordekaiser out of the game, and it sort of worked for maybe 15 minutes. This time around, it feels like Xiaoshu getting resources could prove to be a win condition, which is exactly what they need. The Equalizer becomes a soft engage option, which is paired up with the Xin Sao going forward and the Rakan battle dancing afterwards, and Vikla and Asum setting up their sniping positions from some big sort of, I don't know what the name of the sniping, heights? Is that what they call them?
Sniper nest on it.
Yeah, maybe. Probably is a name for its maker. Forced to flash on the bot side. Never mind. Sniper nest, that's knife fighting going on in the bot lane.
Yeah, I guess a little bit close for comfort, despite the long-range weaponry wielded by Jackal and Mako. They've got themselves control of this bot side. Look at the CS difference, man. So dominant. Jackal, even with the teleport as a summoner spell, so not a combat summoner, completely dunking on this laning phase and doesn't even need it to win the lane.
Jhin is a champion that I think has been much like. We'll hold on to that as a W does come on through. There's a Q3 available, and Tien over the wall can definitely look to jump on Xiaoshu, who doesn't have an ignite, does have a flash, manages to get some distance away, but the ward goes down. Flashes on him with the burning coming on down. Might be able to back away, but a flash and a Q3 should secure the kill. No, it goes wide. Oh my goodness, misses the Electro Harpoon. That could put Xiaoshu in a difficult position. Q lands again. Another Electro Harpoon. There is the tunnel, a knock up afterwards, and it's just not far enough for Xiaoshu to run.
Oh, Tien still had the flash. He was dead to rights. It was just how much damage he could do before he went down to Xiaoshu. Despite getting that first blood, can't end up getting himself a laning state to survive the next kind of phase of those minions crashing into the turret. Xiaohao is going to get the dragon on the bot side, but top Esports immediately recognize the top lane issue and respond in kind.
Well, as you said, we traded for dragon, of course. Part of that's just trying to find a bit back time when you've gone for the ignite and not anything like a teleport to allow you to manage your lane state a bit better, and that can always be a traumatic experience as a top laner if your wave ends up in an awkward position.
Yes, top laners, they have known the very valiant death for your wave state. Like, I have to push this in. I'm going to die. See you on the other side, folks. See you in about 10 seconds in the early game after you respawn. But as it stands, bot lane, I feel like Jackie and Mako, they might have just got themselves to a point where they can get the wave, again, frozen outside of the turret from Asum. This bot lane is going to be in such a dire situation again. Asum and Dway, they are discovering what happens when Jackie and Mako have a winning laning phase. It is not great for most people.
And Vikla, trading up well enough in the mid lane, but again, I think they're trying to save our lives.
They're walking beyond the wave and forcing the fights.
Decent chunk backwards. Assume we'll get a decent full shot off there, and that is nice. But the problem is, there's still damage to be found elsewhere in this lane. There is a flash and a heal down for Mako, but Assume gets chunked again, and it's so difficult to play and trade in this lane right now.
Early Dirk, Taylor Blades, it's so dominant. Even though they hit the full combo onto Jackal, it doesn't matter. Xiaohao's here doesn't have flash. Tien still has flash and could force a fight.
That was a heal from Dway. I guess they were looking to try and get the move speed to get on in and threaten someone, but Tien, I think, was just spotted, so dissuade them from stepping any further forward. But this bot lane is in a disaster state right now.
Dway has the 2 stacks on him. Goes for a series there. Jackal does have that flash. Mako doesn't. That would have been the target they would have looked towards. They are really hard forcing this. They're trying to get something of a reprieve for this bot lane. This bot lane's not getting any easier. Tien still has flash. Doesn't have level 6. If he has level 6, he'll be able to reset that tower aggro, ignore one of those turret shots. Has maybe overstayed, but is safe right now.
Maybe look for a bit more work. Vikla manages to hold his nerve. Isn't forced to back quite yet. Got a tier in inventory at an amp tone, so not quite the blasting one that he's being forced to fight against right now. Dway forced to flash in the bot lane as Tien continues to hold it around here. The Chains of Corruption go wide, and the battle dance afterwards keeps everyone alive. But level 6 already for the side of Jackie. Xiaohao's going to sit here and watch his red buff get taken away. Will be spotted out by this wall. Was looking to be able to try and smite it out, but that's the priority earned in mid and bot lane coming to fruition.
Yeah, that W hitting, thought that maybe Xiaohao, level 6 Jinsao could do level 6 Jinsao things, but didn't really have a backup of his team. Top Esports, they have used this bot lane like a wrecking ball. It's much more close to the spring meta. I think as soon as those AD mid laners got off the board, LPL, well, these two teams, the LPL meta has returned a little bit to that spring, and you can see that Top Esports were the second best team in spring, and they're really good at this, surprise, surprise.
Okay, so at this point, Asum is pretty much out of the game, it feels like. It's a rough set. Again, most people would lose into that lane. And even, of course, Jin will understandably get an eyebrow raise. I think especially because the champion has become an interesting one to track across pro play in terms of the level of play we see from it. People like Ruler, people like Ghost, Bang back in the day were absolutely monstrous at the champion. But the number of players who can be dominant on Jin feels a little limited, but maybe musing about the strengths of a champion. We'll have to wait a second or two here as CTN try to contest for the growth, but it's not going to happen, and Xiaohao will manage to secure those grubs and to get the early dragon as well. So for all the lanes have been given for Top Esports, the neutral objectives have felt pretty okay for the side of Rare Atom.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to early objectives, we've commonly called out Top Esports as the team that will get both sides of the map winning early. They get the grubs and they get the dragon, and it feels like it's very hard to contest them when it gets to that point. So, Rare Atom, they're getting themselves ahead there. Again, this has been a good series from them, and considering the expectations on paper, Cream dashes forwards out of the knock-up.
All right. There goes the Molten Fissure. We'll back away. And there's a little bit of damage down towards Tien there. Well, Vikler's Tien in the bush just there. Will be forced away, and despite the early lane being very good, Rare Atom's still in touching distance in terms of the gold, and their Rumble in particular doing pretty well in that top side. It has come at cost towards bot lane, as we've kind of noted, but we have seen double AD carry lanes fall apart in the mid game before. We know how fragile they can be. They don't exactly get tankier. Decent chunk there from Asum, who will throw out the curtain call, and Mako's like, yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
Okay, ult for ult. I think it's probably, you know, weirdly, I think normally the Ash Arrow is so important, but because the Jin is so much of the setup for this team, I feel like losing the Jin ult is very, very valuable. It's a big loss for Rare Atom. You need that ultimate to be able to follow up on a lot of your big plays. It's an ultimate in top side for Xiaoshu to make sure that wave gets into turret. Feels like this is the reason this game is so going kind of pear-shaped for Rare Atom is that they're getting locked in lanes. You maybe you need to have you ever watched the Lockpick Lawyer? How do you reckon you could lockpick this game if they're locked in lanes?
Yes, but I think it would take him a little while. I'm probably will get him banned by Vanguard.
I appreciate that.
What I was also going to say was, why is it that pairs are bad? Why are they badly shaped? What makes the shape of a pair bad?
So, you know, funny enough, someone else made that comment the other day too. I think what it is because it's meant to be kind of like the disruption of a circular shape. So if it's like, I don't know, if a car's wheel goes pear-shaped, it's a very big problem. So if a cog in a machine goes pear-shaped and it's not a circle, that's a problem.
And if your Elden Ring ends up being broken apart and looking like a pear, then it's also a problem, right?
I don't know, Sam. I don't play Elden Ring. I'm gonna have to trust you on that one.
Yeah, all I've
seen is Let Me Solo Her. The dude with a jar on his head doing monstrous things in boss fights.
So you know that they've actually done it. Actually, we'll have to hold on to that.
Let me solo Assume.
Yeah, I don't think it's a solo. It's a 2v1. That is absolutely not the way that works. And they've got a few more items. I think he does. It's Cream in mid lane, also in a 1vx and falls apart. And that one, I say Vikler was donated to kill. It's actually the Xin Zhao. Xiaohao gets that 1-2.
I mean, from all we can tell there, Cream dashes forward. Vikler flashes out, and he gets to find himself in a momentary 1v3. Jue has himself a flank. There are flashes for Jackie and Mako. I don't think they can really force this. Jackie's out of mana, wants to wave clear, probably teleport back in for continued pressure. Grubs are coming up. Maybe you can teleport to the top side of the map.
I'm actually really appreciative that Jackie has gone towards the teleport and Mako with the heal, because it just allows him to have that consistent presence in lane. It's less about the combat summoners and more about that continual oppression you can get.
Replay of this mid lane play. You can see, so Cream went forward, dashed out of the CC. Great reactions from Vikler, though. Immediate 1v3, kind of formed by Rare Atom. Take it down. Xiaohao in the wings yet again. Xiaohao, another, again, really good awareness of where he should be on the map in the series so far.
Sniffing the carton. Smelling just a little bit off there. It was you know, didn't quite work out in the kitchen that time around as Cream back on our screens, now shoving up the top lane, just trying to manage the wave set, especially as we've got Grubs 2 spawning here, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah,
it looks like Top Esports want to claim those ones.
Yeah, it's the second episode of the Grubby Tuppies, you know. It's like when SpongeBob would have those 2 episodes kind of stitched back to back in the 30-minute listing. Get both of them back together as well. Anyway, these are going to be started up. JackeyLove did teleport him, full mana, and he's got himself ult coming up in 5 seconds. No real contest coming in from Rare Atom. Top Esports walk away with the Grubs, and it feels like the game has been slow. But it does feel like Top Esports getting this Varus ahead is still very good for them.
I want to complain about the casting of Grubby Tubbies, because where's Nunu? It's a very important part of the TV show, and there's no Leona for the Sun, as JackeyLove is engaged onto, has to flash away. Another arrow interrupts the curtain call. Mako is just having none of it.
I mean, Mako's just sat there saying, look, you need I don't always need this arrow. You definitely need your ultimate. It's one of those weird situations where the Jin ult is really important, even compared to that Ashe arrow. And while this happens, the play falls apart in mid lane for Rare Atom. They lose themselves some plates on top side. Getting away the flash from Varus is still a win, though. The next time they go for that play, won't be able to as easily escape.
He does get the Chains of Corruption out as well, so it is double ultimates for just the one. You trade flash for flash on a Rakan, who's very happy to do that. He's mobile enough without it, which is pretty scary to think about. But hey, there is that champion for you. Xiaohao, with the way that resets have come on through, is going to be forced to clear out the wave himself. Oh no, a jungler getting lane farm. What an awful situation.
LPL is one of the few regions which consistently does that. If you find a break in the waves, if a jungler can get towards that, then yeah, junglers can get a lot of value from that.
I approve.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the time it's just about resource management. Someone needs to be picking up farm if at all possible. Xiaohao going to get himself this top side scuttle, or at least contest for it. Mako does have his arrow coming up a little bit after this. Doesn't quite have the cooldown on that one. Of course, support Ashe and the presence of it has meant that the Ashe arrow cooldown has been nerfed quite a bit, just because it's really oppressive when a support Ashe has so much CDR. We'll have it up now.
The Andrew's completed for Xiaoshu. A chunk going on to 369 as the barbecue's turned on. It'll be a slow-cooked K'Sante in the top lane that decides, I've had quite enough of this barbecue, I'm going to leave.
Go back, has himself teleport. Herald has spawned. Xiaoshu, of course, with no teleport means that he can't come up to this plate. You would give up bot lane turret if you did move K'Sante up towards this plate. Mako has flash, has heal, has his ult. And you can see that JackeyLove using Mako as kind of an advanced scout to make sure that he can fire arrows over the wall with the Legolas build. He's going for the real poke, trying to get as much value as he can with the opportunity.
So, item and a half done for JackeyLove. Opportunity plus Dirk, and Dirk, such a potent component still after all these years, is proving to be pretty obnoxious into a relatively squishy team comp of RA.
So Xiaoshu's roamed up. He's chosen not to go towards bot turret. Rare Atom really want this Herald. It would be a way to break up in mid lane versus the Ashe Varus, who are so oppressive. Speaking of oppressive, JackeyLove has continued to be so, firing out those arrows onto key targets again. RA need to get out of this choke point. It's so dangerous.
Some cleanses, and that means that one's not fantastic. 369 rooted up, but he's not exactly taking any damage from that CC afterwards. In goes Xiaohao into the Crescent Guard, and that's the combo they're looking for. Calling the coordinates. And the artillery strikes come flying on down. A 2-for-1 right now. The fight afterwards, pretty ugly to follow, as they'll get some more damage onto Cream, who goes down as well. 369, tanky. Fourth shot will secure another, and it will still be currently that 4 for the side of RA, and they cannot secure Mako at the end of it all. And they only lose 2, make that 3 in trade.
RA end up just blasting out the team fight off of a spectacular snap engage from the Xinsao. Xiaohao really wants to win this series. His Sejuani in the last game, not quite enough. The Xinsao trying to stamp his authority in this one. Top Esports, they had no flash on JackeyLove, and they are very lucky to get away with the mid turret after that one. See right here, Xiaohao ends up getting himself the Q stacked up. Gets it onto that 3rd hit already, means he gets the instant knockup, flashes in, gets onto the flashless Varus, and massively bursts out JackeyLove on top of that equalizer too. JackeyLove doesn't get to play the game despite his early lane advantage. Cream comes in a little bit too late to disrupt the combo too, and he shuffles in basically to his death. Ends up being a couple of kills back, yes, from the side of Top Esports, but Xiaohao showing exactly how quick the Xinsao can burst you out.
That's what this composition was supposed to do, and the Jin that was significantly behind gets a couple kills, gets an Infinity Edge, begins to be able to get back into the game. That's exactly what Rare Atom are going to need to do time and time again. get the initial engage, and then throw down all of the artillery from their various backline members where and when they can.
However, on the other side of the map, even now, is the Cassante Rumble matchup, so 369 will be a lot stronger at clearing side lanes and much stronger at diving into the backline as things go, close towards that Iceborne Gauntlet, which might just be able to solo out the Hui and the Jim. The follow-up towards the big fight earlier was not RA getting the Herald, though. They don't get that objective. Top Esports will now have that, and one of the opportunities Rare Atom will have had to break up in the mid lane turret against the Varus, who is doing this, wave clear and poking, has now gone.
Now, with all of their siege, they can potentially look to drop their own heralds down there and try and do what Rare Atom was so desperate to set up for. As it stands, they'll take the kills, they'll take the gold. They're still potentially going to be able to threaten the turret a little later on. Both turrets not exactly at the highest HP totals if they're given a wave or so freedom.
So, Top Esports, they now have themselves that Herald. Cream is about to get himself a death cap on top of the Nash's Tooth, despite the fact that that last play was not the best from him, shuffling into not have the best team fight, was a little late on it. The arrow just about misses, gosh. Close on that. But still, Cream, once he gets that item, Rare Atom, they need to be careful of Cream getting into either a pocket or into a good sweep opportunity. The burst coming in from a Death Cap Azir, a number of patches ago, probably last year at this point, Azir was shifted into, yes, doing W max, but also more bursty on his E and his R. So if he manages to get the shuffle into you while he's queuing forward, the burst with the extra AP ratios on that, which have been added over time, is incredibly potent.
I'm looking at this now as well. Look at the CS numbers for Cream. It's not, you know, he was at 200 CS at 18 minutes.
And, you know, Cream, he was kind of humbled a little bit at MSI, seeing how the likes of Chovy could very much bring value to his team with huge amounts of farm. Cream maybe learning a lesson or two from that one. I feel like every mid laner goes through that when they first
go back to living off the land. You know what I mean?
There's that one ride at Disneyland, which is living with the land.
That song still lives rent free. That's the one. Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on.
Moving swiftly on before we talk about musical influences from theme park rides in our childhood. Cream, yeah, he's returned to the soil, to the seeds, and he gets himself a demolition bounty as well. Well, not bounty, but gold from that tap. Puts himself up one more there. 2,000 individual gold up over Vikla. I think Vikla off of the AD mids has not really been as impactful as we've seen elsewhere. It has been really much less impactful game to on the flank angle, though.
Have the Cassante coming on down, but so is the Rumble. So 369 and Xiaoshu here to play. Herald comes flying on through, as does the arrow. This one goes wide. Dway, unknown quantity, going to go for the engage! Gets two! Huge moments, the flash is coming on through, but they cannot get as much damage back as they were wanting. Mako still dies. That one sucks a little bit for him, but now the follow-up could be pretty good. Cream in the middle of some spiraling despair. 369 flashes on out. The Chains of Corruption land, and Vikla taken pretty low, but not down. They will get the one kill, but nothing more, alongside a fair number of summoners.
And Cream, once again, can't quite find his angle in time. The problem with this build is you have 0 HP, 0 kind of resist. Cream sat there watching the Jhin ult open up, and he says, I'm not body blocking that for Mako. I don't want to die for that. Gets pinged by Vikla's ult after that too. So Rare Atom, they find themselves engaged. They break some of this chokehold, but not quite enough again to break open the game. They're not going to be able to get Jackalev down, even though they get his flash. Not going to be able to get towards that mid lane out of turret. And Rare Atom, they're finding themselves half of a good play, but not always the great follow-up. The last Herald fight didn't manage to get themselves the Herald after the 1-5. After this, they don't get themselves a big mid lane turret either. And yes, they do end up killing Mako, but they don't really get that much after it.
No, towards the top lane we go. Oh, Xiaoshu, that's not a fantastic equalizer, and I think it's more of a subtraction right now, namely of his health bar.
However, this does leave open that mid lane turret, which we said was important to Top Esports. So Top Esports, they break up in top lane, but they lose themselves that really important structure in the mid lane. Given the fact that you only lose your Rumble on the side lane, I don't think this is a bad trade for Rare Atom.
I think we're mostly okay with it. Do we know who was donated the kill? I didn't quite catch it as arrow came flying on through, and I'm still waiting to use that line for Mako, but I need to see an arrow land at some point to make it worth my while. I'm going to make a call. Using the meme as I am, it needs to be worth it, you know?
Okay, well, we shall see whether you get an opportunity for that one. Nash's to Death Cap is here on a side lane. Cream sticks in top lane, gets himself an in-turret amount of gold, but he's not here at the play. But Rare Atom can't find themselves an angle of opportunity on that one. Top Esports, they have really returned to, again, a lot of the spring comfort for them. They're very strong at their mid-game macro. They get into side lanes very effectively. And Cream on the mage, so much gold. We have said that, you know, he was the Yone Akali Silas player. He was you know, Yone's one of his most played across his entire career. He goes straight on towards the Azir this time, even though that was never his comfort in the years past. The top esports, with the veterans around him, have molded him into something which can really be more of a potent mage player. Puts up that tower in mid lane. They have the huge Baron damage now from the Azir if they turn towards that. Rare Atom, they are very well and truly in that mid lane dance for the Baron and for the Dragon coming up.
At least got that one ward in the river, meaning they don't feel they have to face check. Jackie Love has his spell shield popped by a deadly flourish, and extended trade, I suppose, is Cream. Going to be a known quantity on that one. 369 will footwork his way outside of a shattering bolt. The equalizer after force a flash from Mako. Arrow comes on down. Will allow him to disengage, and the severing bolt part 2 will not chunk out the Ashe any further.
Yeah, Cream not able to... Well, they're not able to force out Cream's flash. That's a big thing. Cream with flash, very, very powerful. I think he's going towards his Zhonya's next too. So Cream is going towards high AP. I think he's going towards... Oh, he's gone towards Banshees. Either way, the thing about Banshees is that it's still 100 AP as an item. It's not the low damage item it was before. With Deathcap's Banshees and then also the National Tooth, if Cream hits a combo, someone's evaporating. He has flash. By not taking that away from him, I think RA are in a hugely dangerous position next time he finds an angle.
And your ability to stop them on the engage, that much harder now he's got the Banshee's Veil as well. That initial pick CC that he's been so worried about will be a lot harder to mitigate now. Of course, you've got ways to pop it. Not yet on either of those spell shields. Jue on a good flank again.
He is. He does have no flash, though. Makes it much harder. 369 holding the door closed. Can use his footwork. Yes, he does. Cream, look at the damage from that. Just 2 autos onto Assume. Take a third of his HP bar.
369 does take a bit of damage in turn, but it'll take a lot more of that before he goes anywhere close to falling.
Top esports take that objective, and I think with the Azir turret put in mid lane just before this, they ended up getting themselves in a great position to take that objective, and it's not exactly getting any easier for Rare Atom to approach. I think with such an anemic Hwei, their long-range composition starts to fall apart. I think with Vikla having a much worse game than game 1, he had a strong game 1 on the Yone. I think he had some good moments, even if he couldn't get himself the big team fight ultimates. Given that it's against top esports, you're allowed to have a mistake or two. I'm not going to hold that too hard against him. But in this game, being down 3.5k on a pick which is crucial to your team composition, this is just not it from the guy.
No, and then you look at Cream, you know, we said, oh, maybe the Rumble kill gives the mid lane turret. Well, then Cream got to shove out 2 waves and get a tier 2, and then move towards the Baron bait to force a Rare Atom to kind of congregate around mid lane and not claim the side lane waves in the way they were hoping. Especially because the only person with teleport on their team is Vikla, who isn't the safest in a side lane. When you got the Ignite on the Rumble, your ability to play side lanes isn't the easiest for Atom consistently, especially when you're looking at the other side. Jackie, Cream, 369, all with their teleports, and we would have been praising Top Esports' ability to play the map wide.
So, Top Esports, really showing their variety between Game 1 and Game 2. Very different compositions and playing them out effectively in both ways. In Game 2, though, it has felt like Rare Atom, they've really struggled to find plays outside of the early game. I think that Xiao Hao on the early power spike of the Xin Sao did so much good work. Back when he was on Anyone's Legend in 2023, showed similar levels of power on this pick. He really doesn't want to lose this series, folks. He's playing so well at both of his Sejuani and his Xin Sao games. But the question is just how much more can you do now? You're not at the point where you can one-shot people. You have a Sundered Sky and the Sterix. You're going to be more tanky. You can hold the front line for a little bit with your ultimate, but it's not really going to be, you know, an assassin jungler which can kill the backline at the kind of rate which you need them to.
Gold leads actually on the whole relatively even, with the entire exception of mid lane. You're just looking at everything. Within 500 gold, 300 is the average difference here, pretty much. I think he just flicked around just a little bit there, a little bit more for the Ashe, a little bit less for maybe carry and jungle. But this Azir is just so strong. Hasn't even completed boost, just got the free ass ones. We've even got free additional money.
And the thing is, Top Esports, they're playing through side lanes. They're not really forcing the issue. I think they do understand that they can't really... Look, red side, geography is painful times, folks. One of my favorite books of all time is, well, book series is the Discworld Chronicles from Terry Pratchett, GNU. And there's a character in there who is the professor of cruel and unusual geography. Baron Pitt can be cruel and unusual geography.
He generally runs away from that, though.
Yeah, well, I think Top Esports might have to at points too, because if they're sat here with a load of immobile people like the Ashe, the Varus, and the Azir, who doesn't really want to be doing stuff, it's dangerous to be sat here in the pit. RA, if they manage to pin them against it, they might be getting a lecture in cruel and unusual geography.
on red side as well, their ability to retreat out of the pit, somewhat limited for a number of their members. There comes the equalizer. Baron secured though, so the cruel and unusual geography not working out that badly so far. They'll lose the Ash early on. 369 goes all out, but it only drags him into the pit because just footwork over it towards a teammate.
Showhouse keeps going.
Gonna try and get down the crescent guard. That will deny some people Tian. Now a known quantity over the wall by those Krugs. 369 avoids the fourth shot with another footwork. And the Severing Bolt comes on through, but really all his cost him is a member and a flash.
Tien might even be able to hop over the wall. Xiaohao has no ult. Tien, yeah, he's still pretty strong with this Rex side, especially if the other person's at half HP. Top Esports, they walk away with a Baron on 4 people. They only lose it on Mako. Mako doesn't even flash, so I think that's completely fine for him in the next fight. Tien spotted. He's gone too far now.
He has a little bit, and the Deadly Flourish afterwards will be pretty good. Remember, this Jin at this point at 2.5 items can still do quite a lot of work. They'll get another member. 369 has come on in, but that means he's now in a 3v2. Jackie loses Spell Shield, needs to back away. Remember, he has no flash. Teleported in to be a part of this as Cream has also joined. Backs away from that devastating fire, and the Grim Visage will force Jackie Love to back away.
So surprised that Cream couldn't find a big knock-up angle there. Go for the big sweep. He's so powerful. Cream, you could just end the game right now.
Gonna land onto Vikla. That's huge! Game's gonna just get blown wide open as the retreat from Rare Atom is immediately punished. And Mako lands the arrow. You know what that means? Check the power levels. He's over 9,000 assists.
We finally get it. Mako hitting himself a huge milestone in his LPL career in this series. In Game 1, he hit over 9,000 career assists, and he hits another arrow to keep that checking ever forward. Top Esports, it hasn't been an explosive game where the game just ends up going from team fight to team fight, but they've been disciplined, they've been calm, and they've put R8 to the sword at most of the big moments in this game, whether it be by macro or by skirmish and team fight. Dragon is spawning. They have a huge amount of presence still on the map. I don't even think they need to reset. They're just going to go completely towards this bot side, not visit that Dragon just yet. So much damage on towers from Cream and the extended members. I mean, what do you do here as Rare Atom?
And it's not like Rare Atom haven't made plays, haven't had moments in the game where the on-screen skirmishing has been solid, but you just look at the wider map state, it's been so hard, and then you start to see stuff like this as the gold lead really begins to rear its head. That's your engage, that's your front line. It's made of paper.
Mako makes it happen, looking like he's more from our hometown than he is from China, because he's making himself look like Robin Hood of Nottinghamshire. Robin of Locksley hits that arrow beyond Jway, manages to get Xiaohao down. Dragon's going to go down as well. After the Baron, things have fallen apart for Rare Atom. They overstay in the top jungle, they overstay in the bottom jungle in their own half of the map. Top Esports, they have taken no prisoners.
Towards another inhibitor turret they go. Assume at this point can throw down some CC, but it is looking mighty difficult to find anything resembling damage. 2.5 items versus 3.5 for the side of Cream. He is basically waiting on Zonya's completion, I'd imagine. Maybe even Shadow Flame.
I mean, I think Cream can do whatever the hell he wants. Yeah, go for Zonya's. Why not? He's 6,000 gold up.
It's
Folks,
nuts.
I dare you to say that Cream's Azir is a negative thing for his team. I've seen, Cream on mages, Cream on Azir, because we saw him at the start of spring spamming a load of this before he was completely in his mage mindset. Folks, Cream is a good mage player now. Cream has got so much gold. He's going to probably just one-shot even the tankiest member of Rare Atom.
Listen to the words of the Lactose Tolerance Club, guys. Sometimes if you leave milk long enough, it ferments into something beautiful. The mages took a little while to get there, but this is exactly sour cream. You'll love to see it.
Look, he's going to be cutting so deep. The only clotting that's going to be happening is clotted cream. It's not going to be clotting the wound. The wound is going to have to be cauterized at this point. It ain't going to be pretty. Rare Atom, they're going to get burned up by the Emperor of Shurima.
Do you know what the average fat content of clotted cream is?
No.
70%.
Oh, bloody hell, okay.
Jway on a flank here might be what they require to clog some arteries here and cause a heart attack for Top Esports at the end of the game, but they need to do that without having their front line eviscerated by incidental poke damage.
Yeah, I don't think they've got much of an option about that. I think at this point, that choice has been taken away from 3 lanes of push. Tien can do this, and it's another snipe!
Oh, no! All the world on one arrow. What's likely another assist for Mako. Xiaohao throw down the crescent guard, but we've talked about pear-shaped, and that crescent is being broken to something a little less perfectly circular. To relearn pie a little bit later, because it feels like Top Esports have been able to eat all the pie they want. They are greedily fed, especially in the mid lane. A 6k individual lead. Cream finds another shuffle. They'll get a few more kills, and they'll end the game in pretty dominant fashion. 2-0 for them and Rare Atom. Oh, Rare Atom, they are now going to be holding their hands and praying to whatever deity they please because they have got to wait on the results of next series to see whether they're going into the Ascension
They'll be
group.
praying to not just the god, but a PP god. OMG now need to beat LNG in the next series of the day for Rare Atom to make it through into the Ascension group, the upper group of the next stage of LPL. They had a chance to secure their own fate if they could win against Top Esports, but that, of course, as we've seen, is absolutely not easy. Top Esports undefeated in series. The only game they lose across the entirety of group stage is that game 1 that we just saw the other day against LNG. It was a close run affair as well. Top East wasn't that man in the mid lane. Cream. They're starting to really come to life in Summit. We need to see them versus, again, other apex predators of their groups across the rest of the LPL. This team, by my margin, I think Top Esports are the best team in the LPL right now.
It feels like they can play so many different styles and they are playing the map so confidently. Like this game, as we said, wasn't that explosive, but Cream just kept getting bigger leads.
Yeah.
He was 1-2-1 on Azir that wasn't going for ultimates.
One thing that's really funny about this is that Cream had so much gold and basically didn't have any chance to use it because effectively it's like, I've killed one person because everyone else had died. All the same, Top Esports, they walk away with that victory as well. Folks, I'm Nymaera, this is Initialise. We're brothers.